Hi, I'm Parva. I am a manager at Chain Zuckerberg Initiative, engineering manager, and I have landed a role of vice president of engineering at KNX, which is a startup in AI in healthcare. So I was actually thinking about reverse recruiting for about 2 years, but I was just passively looking. Wasn't sure about my own capabilities. It would be very hard to learn.
And that is fair. You also mentioned that you were out of the market for more than 4 years.
Yeah. So then I realized, I think maybe a few days into the process, that I have to go along with the process. I'm not going to insert my editorial comments. I'm like, hey, you know what you're doing. I'm just going to show up. Then the fear is gone. Now let me just look aggressively what's out there. I interviewed at more places than I don't think I've interviewed in 10 years combined.
Following is a conversation with our client Parva. We landed him a VP of engineering role at KNX. He was working at Chain Zuckerberg Initiative before. It took him 2.5 months end to end to land him the offer. And along the way, he landed interviews at 15 different companies, including Anthropic, Netflix, PayPal, Roblox, Snowflake, among others. He chose the KNX role as a role like this was his dream role. And he told us, I should have started sooner with you guys. So without further ado, let's crack right into it.
Firstly, how wolf hunting, how did that happen? What were you looking around? How did you land up in a first sales call? How did company pop up in your mind?
So I was thinking about reverse recruiting for about 2 years now. It's a little philosophical, but this happens when you hit middle age. It will come to you, don't worry. But a couple of years ago, I hit that point where I'm like, wait, now I'm at the stage in my life where if I have the right tools, I can do anything. So I just have to acquire that skill. I don't have to be good at everything. I just have to find people who are good at those things, and the sky's the limit. Now it sounds very simple, it sounds very intuitive, but for me it was like a big moment. I'm like, wait, now with this insight, what else can I change in my life? Right. So it could be as simple as hiring someone to clean your pool rather than cleaning your pool, which is going on anyway for many years now. But it could be as simple as that to all the way, what else can be done? So I was actually thinking about reverse recruiting for about 2 years, but I was just passively looking. But around December, I hit this stage of a barista level early retirement where I'm I cannot retire. Maybe I can. But definitely I can retire if I just have a job in Starbucks. I don't need anything else. It's not because I'm secretly multi-millionaire, nothing like that. But I live a very simple life. I don't play golf, right? I eat vegetarian food. If someone gives me sweet potato, I'm happy. So I'm then the fear is gone. Now let me just look aggressively what's out there. And then I started looking, and then Wolf Mentoring popped up. And with Instagram's algorithm, I'm not an Instagram user, but my wife is, and she's Wolf Mentoring ad in her feed. And she's like, hey, do you know about it? I'm like, yeah, actually, I was just looking at it a week ago. And then I ended up checking out Varun's introduction video. And then I started looking at a couple of your competitors. And then I reached out to you. Ritik took initial call, and everything checked out. And when I was talking with whom did I talk to after Ritik? I forgot. Yes. So yes. So he said he didn't negotiate, and then he was pretty clear. And I'm he also said that you don't accept all the clients. So all of that made me really feel better. I'm I would be a little alarmed if you did not ask for some percentage of my salary, because then you don't have a skin in the game. And everything checked out. And that's how I found you. That's how I felt really good. And the early onboarding process, even with you, felt very smooth. And that just bumped my confidence.
Okay. Very beautiful said. And yes, things do happen in the most unexpected way, which happened for you.
Yeah.
And were there any concerns, anything that you were feeling skeptical about, before joining us? Were there any factors that you had to rethink before you started with us?
The first thing was is it real? Is it a real thing? You watched that video that Varun has 8-minute video on your homepage. I don't know right now, but at that point it felt pretty straightforward. Not easy, complex process, but pretty straightforward that you do this, you do that, you do this. And then I saw a couple of examples he had in the video I had also signed up, so I was getting these automated marketing emails coming from him. And all of that, like I saw someone in Databricks got like 1.2, 1.3 million package. That was before I signed up with you. I'm like, wow, is it really real? So that was a little bit skepticism. But like just talking with all of you, it was just like my internal fear, not a flag from any conversation. So that was one skepticism. Other was I wasn't even sure that you can actually do it in 3 to 6 months, because I thought that it would take a very long time. And when Bhavya started applying, and then even then I was like drawing that, hey, it will take 4 or 5 weeks to land this interview, it will take. But then I was landing interviews, at least the recruiter screening, like literally following week. I remember she started first week of March, and like second, third week of March, I already was talking to some people. So which is literally last month, right? So that was a little bit of like, I don't think, I mean, you guys are expert, but I don't think, I wasn't sure about my own capabilities. Like it would be very hard to land an interview.
And that is fair. You also mentioned that you were out of the market for more than 4 years.
Yeah.
Like 4 years back was the last time that you interviewed for a role.
Right.
And like while working with us, how did you feel about the process? Process as in the kind of positioning that we were doing with your profile, the kind of roles that we were applying, and everything else.
The process was smooth. The roles you were applying were extraordinary, which I think I listed in one of my early Slack messages as well in the service channel, that I don't think I would have even applied to some of the roles you applied, including the role I landed, which was like when you applied, it was director. And after a couple of interviews, I just like, there is nothing wrong in asking. And I just asked him that, can you make me VP? And he's like, that's on the table. How about that? Continue interviewing. So I don't think I would have even applied. Like I looked at the job description, and even then I'm like, wow, like even after you applied, even after knowing that you applied, if I had to apply again, I wouldn't apply, because this just doesn't, I don't know, something jumped out. Similarly, the Netflix role, even the PayPal role, I definitely wouldn't have applied, because maybe the titling was wrong or something was off. So never mind. So then I realized, I think maybe a few days into the process, that I have to go along with the process. I'm not gonna insert my editorial comments. I'm like, hey, you know what you're doing. I'm just gonna show up. And if it doesn't align, I'll tell you that, hey, you know what, hiring manager did this or recruiter said that, but I am not gonna influence your process, because that might actually, it's like backseat driving, right? You know how to drive, and I'm gonna say, hey, look at that cow coming. And I'm like, no, you know how to drive, right? And overall end-to-end process was like pretty open, right? I was able to get responses on Slack. The comments when I update something on Asana, someone would notice and follow up if there were questions. So process was like pretty smooth.
Now, because there's some philosophical angle as well to your direction and to the decisions that you take too. So I would really love, like, if you had to give advice to someone that is in a similar situation as you were before you landed this role, what advice would you give to those people? Anything. It could be personal, it could be professional, or it could be anything around that.
I think it will just come down to what I said, that trust the process, and treat you as partners in making something happen. So rather than, see, like sometimes people talk to this ChatGPT and Claude, they forget that that is just a tool for you to do something, right? That's not your parent, that's not your kid, right? You don't have to convince them. You're just using their expertise to do something in your life. So that's how I treated you, that like I'm not trying to change your behavior in any way, right? You come with this expertise, I'm trusting you with that. If there is feedback, I would provide. But at the end of the day, I still own my career. I still own my family's well-being, and my goals are my goals, right? So yeah, so I would say trust the process. You know what you're doing, and just carry on.
Okay. Now, enough about us. Let's come to the most important thing of this conversation, that is your role that you just landed.
Okay.
What is that role about? How do you feel about the role, and how do you feel that you would be fitting in the environment of the culture? And is it something that you are excited to like go into and work over there?
Yeah. So first of all, amazing role. I actually have already started while I'm on the notice period with my current employer, because that was part of the negotiation. Yeah, but yeah, overall culture feels amazing. I have been to a few meetings. I am already delivering something for them today, and I feel very excited. This is a true 0 to 1 mandate. It's a seed funded startup, comes with the executive title, a huge mandate to architect the solution, to build solutions, to hire a team, to scale team, to actually even take over CTO role one day. And so far, there are no flags. I'm pretty sure as I move forward, I'm going to get cranky for something sooner or later. But so far, so good. Very excited.
And like, what are your future plans? How are you planning your next 5 to 10 years? Anything specific that you want to achieve or you want to go ahead with?
So when I was going through the interviews, and that's where I'm like little less excited about the Netflix opportunity and other opportunities. First of all, I'm committed. I feel like I don't want to change my mind right now. But the second, the interview process and actually interviewing at all different places. I interviewed at more places in 1.5 months with you, like starting second week of March to until last week, which was like literally 6 weeks. In this 6 weeks, I interviewed at more places than I interviewed at all places last 10 years. I don't think I have interviewed in 10 years combined. But never mind, going through this process has given me clarity of what I want to do next. So I actually want to continue with a role like this, and maybe a couple years from now, I want this on my resume that I have brought a seed-funded startup to Series A, Series B, maybe exited or not exited. And I want my next role to be actually a co-founder role or a founder role or like a non-founder CTO role, something like that. Because I have dabbled with entrepreneurship past 10 years, but because of my personal situation, some of it, with my wife, it didn't work out. But now, being in Bay Area, having this experience under my belt, having like knowing how VCs work, how boardrooms work, I would love if my next role would literally be just a co-founder working on some interesting problem.
Okay, and that sounds really interesting as well. Before that, I would really love to like put my feelings across because this personally like feels like a personal win as well. Like as excited I am like in taking the onboarding calls. It's a similar bittersweet feeling for taking these onboarding calls as well. Thank you so much, Pav. That was really awesome.
Sounds good. Take care. Bye.